Welcome to another Python video, and what we're going to be doing today is we're going to learn how to move objects in Tkinter. So let's start by importing the Tkinter into the program. So from Tkinter import all. So that just brings in the Tkinter package. Remember, Tkinter is spelt with a silent T. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a root directory, and that will actually be right there, and we've got to give that some geometry. So root.geometry, open brackets, and remember that our geometry is always in inverted commas, and we're going to give it an 800 wide x 600 wide. So you'll see there that it's 800 by 600, so it's an x. So students wanted to know, what is that? How do I get the times symbol? It's an x. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a width and a height, and then we're going to create an x and a y variable. So our width is equal to 800. Of course, that is directly to do with this 800 here. And our height is equal to 600. And again, that is directly to do with this. Okay. And our x position on a screen is how far it is this way. Our y position is how far it is up and down. So with this particular thing, we're going to actually go x is equal to the width divided by 2. Now divided by is actually forward slashes. And y will actually be equal to height divided by 2. And what this is going to do is it's going to position our x and our y right in the middle of our widget. Okay, so that's nice and easy to deal with it. Please be aware that if our width here is different to here and our height is different to here, say for example our width is 400 and our height is 200, the actual what we're planning on doing will actually disappear off the screen once we get to those heights. So try and keep it the same. Okay. Now we need to actually put a main loop in. Don't forget that we've got to actually put a main loop in to run it. Okay, so we'll put that right at the bottom and give ourselves some space here. I like to call my canvas as small a word as possible. Sometimes I'll use C, but in this case I'm going to use can. Can equals canvas. And that's going to be in the root, and width is actually equal to W. Okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? And then height is equal to H. Okay, so what that's going to do is it's going to actually work out the height and width of the canvas according to this. So this means that it's the same geometry as our root. Okay, we're going to give it a background color of black, just because I like black. And then we're going to pack the can. Okay, can dot pack, open brackets, close brackets, and remember that's because it's running that little program that will pack that canvas into the root. Okay. So now we can finally get on with the things that we need to get on with. Now I have very deliberately used W and H over here because it actually helps us being able to go left and right, etc. on the screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to define a left event. So we're going to define an event that goes to the left. Okay, and the way we do this is we write define, and we'll actually use the word left, and it's an event. How easy is that? If we want to define a left event, what's actually happening, we just go define, or DEF, then we need to give the name, so we're going to call it left, and then it is an event, so it's in the brackets we put event, okay, and then we press tab, and you will see here very much so that the tab is definitely over below the left. Okay, so we're going to place what we're wanting to do in there. So x is equal to minus 10. And what this means is that the x will move minus 10 to the left. Okay, so when I'm going this way, it's to the left. And it looks like it's going to the right on my screen here, but I'm actually pointing to my left. Okay, and y, well, we need y to stay the same. So y is equal to 0. And then we want the canvas dot move. And what is it that we want to move? We want our objects. So this is going to canvas move that particular object, whatever we call it. So we're going to call this one my underscore circle. Okay, and that is going to go in the X and the Y. Okay, so it's going to move X, which is minus 10, and Y, which is 0. And that is the whole program. How easy is that? That program now could run if we had my circle organized. So let's have a look at, let's create my circle. We'll create it up above. And so my circle, my underscore circle is equal to, and then we want to create in the can, or the canvas, create an oval. Okay, and with that oval, it's going to have coordinates of X, which is 800, Y, which is, X is actually 800 divided by 2, which is 400, right? And Y, which is 600 divided by 2, which is 300. And then we want to make the circle. So that's one side of the circle. The other side of the circle, we're just going to make it a little bit further, a little bit bigger. And so what if we said X plus 10 and Y plus 10? Okay. And so what that's going to do is it's going to make X a little bit further to the right and Y a little bit further down. Okay. And we're going to give that an outline of red. Okay. And so that's going to place that in there. So let's run that. And let's just look at the actual object. And so this is what it looks like. Now, this program is actually not doing anything yet, but you can see that the red is perfectly in the center. Well, it's not quite. This is about the center right there. So this is slightly to the right, but we can see our object nice and clearly. Okay, so we've defined our circle and we've defined our left event. So let's actually bind that to some kind of letter. So if we said that root dot bind, this actually will bind this program in a second. We're going to tell it to bind it to that program so that when we run it, whenever we do this particular letter, it will actually move to the left. So root.bind. And what we want to do is we want to have it in inverted commas, and we're going to make it go in the left hand arrow key. So this is not a letter, but rather a left hand arrow key. That's the syntax for that. and then we're going to actually run the program called left. Okay, well, let's see what happens when we do that. So we've got our program here, and I'm now going to press the left hand key, and as you can see, it moves it to the left, and if I keep going, it will move it out of the screen and it will disappear. I can't get it back because I haven't programmed it to get it back, but you can see the result of that. So then, surely we could make the right key work. I would like you to pause the video and work out how to make the right key go. Your turn now. Now that you've unpaused that, the way I can do that is I can copy this whole code, and instead of saying define left, I say define right. And in this case, I'm just going to get rid of that minus sign there, and everything else will remain the same, so that I can then run it. And now, using the left hand button, it will go to the left. But if I use the right hand arrow, it's certainly not moving. Why is that? Think about it. Try and fix that problem. Okay, so the problem is that I have not bound the right hand button, the right hand arrow. So what I can do is I can just copy this code, and in here I write right. Now that is the right arrow, and then I in here write right. And so now when I do it, I can run it, and I can use the left hand arrow, and now I'm going to use the right hand arrow. And as you can see, I can move this exactly where I want it. But at the moment, I can't use anything for up and down. So what do you think the code would be for up and down? Pause the video and work that out. See if you can do both up and down. Okay, welcome back. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to these programs and copy both of those programs, copy Control C, and then I'm going to paste them in here. And remember that our tabs, our spacing does matter. And so this one's going to be called up, UP, and this one is going to be called down. And now, instead of X changing it all, I'm just going to have X as 0. And in this case, for up, Y needs to be minus 10. Yes, minus 10, because minus 10 makes it go up. Okay, and then for down, this needs to be 0, and this needs to be plus 10. And so now I've got my up program defined and my down program defined. I can then quickly bind those by going up, so literally up, so that's the up arrow, and this is the down arrow, so just the capital U and the capital D, and then I just define that up and down. It is that simple. Now when I run this program, I should be able to actually make this work up and down and take it wherever I like. So here is left, here is right arrow, here is the up arrow, here is the down arrow. Here's both at once, here's both at once. So I can actually make my use of my arrows. So there is another way that I can deal with this. What if I would like to actually make my mouse change so that the left hand button made it move to the left and the right hand button made it use to the right? What I can use is the same program here, press Controls, same program here, but instead of saying left for that, I can say button, C capital, -1. For the -1 is the left hand click. And the -3, so button -3 is the right, and the middle button is actually button 2. Many mouses do not have the middle button. I would always get one with the middle button because that roller mouse makes a big difference to my programming. Okay, let's run that and see what happens. So here we've got it, and if I press my left button, there it goes. If I press my right button, there it goes. So I've utilized the same program, left and right, but now I've just bound the buttons to it. Now I could do the same thing with letters. So for example, I could say in here, lowercase a. And so if I ran that, and I pressed the A, it moves it to the left. So that's how I can do that. I'm just going to put that back. There is one other way that I can use this, and I would use these in different methods and with different ways of doing things. What I can do is I can define a program that deals with all the letters all at once. So if I define my keystroke as a program, if I define that as a program, I can say x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0. Okay, so that just keeps it all centered, right? Now, if event, and my keys is an event-driven program, so we need to actually write event in here. Okay, so if event dot character, all right, is equal to a, then x is equal to -10. Okay, so what that's going to mean is that when I do a keystroke, any kind of keystroke, if that keystroke is A, it's going to make X -10. And then I can copy this code here and put it in here a few more times. Just need to get rid of those tabs. There we go. Bring the tabs back to normal. And then I can actually say, all right, so if it's equal to S, I can make that +10, so just get rid of that. And if I make it equal to W, that will actually mean that Y is equal to -10. And then if I say X, then Y is equal to 10. Okay, and then I need to actually run this move little program. So if I go can dot move open brackets my circle, and I'm going to move it x comma y. Okay, and so whatever x is, it will do that. So if it starts off neutral, it's going to be 0. It's not going to move. But if there's an A event, X is going to go -10. If it's an S event, it'll go X will go +10. If it's a W event, it'll go Y in the negative, so it'll go up. And if it goes X, it'll go Y in the positive, so it'll go down. And so then the final thing that I need to do is I need to actually bind. We'll go down here. We'll go root dot bind open brackets, and in this case it'll be key. Okay, and then don't forget that, and then it needs to go keystroke, so I'm going to run the keystroke program. Okay, and so what this means is when I run it, if I press A, it moves to the left. If I press S, it moves to the right. If I press W, up. If I press X, goes down. If I right click my mouse, it goes to the right. If I left click my mouse, it goes to the left. If I use my left arrow, it goes to the left. If right arrow goes to the right, up arrow goes up, and down arrow goes down. I hope that this was useful to you in your programming. When we actually start programming for the game and getting the game actually working, we can start getting our Space Invaders character to move up, down, etc. using all of those keystrokes. I would like you now to go to your Space Invaders program that you've started, and I'd like you to put a character in there, just a circle, and have it be able to move left and right only. I would like you to be able to use it on the mouse, the arrow keys, the A and the S key. Have fun with